How did the big shows go?
Unreal. 2 of the best nights of my career. Crowd were amazing. Venue perfect. We Nando's. Unreal.
What's your plan for next year? Going bigger and better?
Next year I'm just going to relax with a big cup of tea.
Sippers get ready. When people get ready. Sippers get ready for tea with me.
Sippers, Happy New Year. Welcome to this episode of the Tea With Me podcast with me, Shane Todd. As you can see from the message at the start, we're doing the SSE Arena. SSE with me in May. Tickets are available in the description below. Before we get into this episode, and look, I know it's a new year. I know you've that time in between Christmas and New Year, you're a little bit bored, your belly's a bit bigger, whatever. You just want to get into this episode. I'm not going to hang around and keep you. I'm just telling you, patreon.com's place to be in 2025. Patreon.com/TME podcast, not the general page of Patreon, not just the home page. Patreon.com/ sign up for every guys, do me a favour, join every Patreon in the world. Alright, that's what we want to see this year. No, just the Tea With Me Patreon. You get all the special, and that's what you do, because you might still be off work this week. You might be bored. You can just go back, watch all the live Tea With Me specials. You can watch my tennis match against Kieran Bartlett, the special challenge. You can watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You can watch the old stars in your eyes.
Roast of Willie T.
The roast of Willie T. You can just fill your boots basically. And throughout the year we do the bonus episode on a Monday, a live stream on a Friday, early access to tickets. Links in the description below.
Lazy Boys.
And Lazy Boys goes there. Me, William Thompson and Mickey Bartlett. And listen, if your New Year's resolution was for there to be less Lazy Boys in 2025, haha, joke's on you, there's going to be way more. So keep an eye on that. And look, could this be the year Mysteries comes back? I'm just saying, I don't know. I would love that's one thing I think a lot of people around the world would like to see this year. That's what a lot of people will be asking Santa for and I'm like, that's crazy. It's 11 and a half months away. But look, before we get into this episode, I got to tell you we're sponsored by none other than Manscaped. Okay, look, it's a new year. It's the same old sponsor. Manscaped have been with us from the start. Go to manscaped.com, use the code TEAWITHME for 20% off and free shipping. And what a way to start the year. What a way to start the year. I'm looking at a crowd of guys right now who are shaved up. Mickey Bartlett, trousers and pants around his ankles there. And he is looking smooth. He's looking smooth. He's got his back to me, but I can still see. It looks like he's got a turkey and a headlock with his legs. And that is because he is an avid Manscaped user. Honestly, look, I there's probably people with birthdays in January, at the start of January, which is just annoying. But if you want to get them something, manscaped.com, use the code TEAWITHME for 20% off.
What might you get them, Shane, if you're going to pick a product? I
would go for the Chairman Pro.
Yeah,
I would go or the.
Do you have one handy you could show us?
Do I have one, Dan? Here. Oh, I have to get up. What the fuck? Where? Here.
Where you left it?
Look at this. Look at that. And that's one of those products, and there ain't nothing wrong with it. It's a little bit thinner at the base.
No, they don't like that.
And thick at the top. Hey, I'm stating fact, and sometimes that's good because some people like just the same width the whole way. But I actually think it's better than being fat at the base and thin at the top.
20% off and free shipping if you go to manscaped.com.
Yeah.
Use the offer code TEAWITHME at checkout.
That's 100%
on with the episode.
Girth at the top, at the summit. That's like you've gone the whole way up a mountain. You're like, gonna be a wee small base camp. No, base camp's a fucking 7-star hotel resort. Look at that, big thick top to that. You could use that for you could use that for anything. Anything.
Shaving related.
Or sticking up your tree is just 11 months away, guys. Christmas coming again soon. Look, this episode is something I've been trying to make happen for a long time. These guys have been doing shows in Belfast and around the place, and I've always floated it. Oh, should we try and get them? And it's never worked out before. We haven't had the right contact. But when I started seeing Boyzlife putting up some TikTok, some Instagram stuff, I said, guys, come to the pod. And finally, they're doing a press day in Belfast at the end of last year. We managed to get them, and I'm absolutely buzzing because let me tell you right now, a lot of people in Ireland will go, like guys my age will go, oh, Westlife and Boyzone, yeah, some of the songs are good and stuff. Stop lying to yourself. We love it, and I love it. I grew up a Boyzone fan. I became a big Westlife fan. My favourite Boyzone songs, as I explained to the lads, Love Me For A Reason, the first CD single I had, and then A Different Beat, which is an anthem. And then massive Westlife fan, and I've loved Westlife through the ages, and I love these boys, and sometimes I'll still put on Boyzone or Westlife on my Spotify playlist, and then I find out a good few years ago that Brian McFadden and Keith Duffy get together. They get together and they call it Boyzlife. And I said, how the bloody hell did they come up with that? Where's that name come from? And then people point out, well, it's Boyzone and Westlife combined. I fell off my chair. I can't believe it. They've been touring around. I think the guys were saying it was supposed to be just one tour, just some shows, and then it's something they've just kept going because people want to see this. They do the hits of both, and now they're making new music as well. They've got a song out that they put out just at the end of last year called "I Would," which is great. And if you're like, I think if you're a fan of Picture This, who we've had on, and that kind of sound, I think you'll love it. Something different from what they have done. I've been wanting to do this podcast for a long time. Please enjoy this episode of the Tea With Me podcast with Brian McFadden and Keith Duffy, aka Boyzlife. Happy New Year. Lads, I on this podcast try and ask questions people don't normally ask, or not ask stock questions, but
Right.
what's the question someone will ask you where you just inwardly roll your eyes? Like for comedians, it's how do you write your material?
Yeah,
You know?
I guess the like, and I'd probably started with Westlife and Boyzone as well. It's normally when people have never met you before. So how did this all start? You're like, oh sweet Jesus Christ! You're like, it's 30 years. Like we'll have to go right back to 30 years and give it all. So that, I think when people ask vague questions like that and just go, so tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
The worst questions usually are usually asked when you're about to do a TV show. And they have this thing with every TV show you ever do in the UK or Ireland or wherever. They have what do they call it?
Research
The
call.
research call.
Yeah.
And they get one of these juniors to call you, and
Yeah.
they ask you the most ridiculous questions. You know what I mean? We're going on the show to sell a tour. We've been going for 30 years.
Yeah.
And they're going, so tell us who you are.
Yeah, tell us,
You know,
tell
how
us
did
about
you meet?
yourselves.
And when one of our managers or something says, lads, he'll do the research. No, I'm not doing it. You do it.
Right.
I'm having a hernia taken out that day, unfortunately.
Did you ever have like things you would do during interviews back in the day of the band? Did you ever have things you would do to amuse yourself during it? Like I would
Yeah.
do, because I did I think it was for the Irish News. They did like a health. They were doing like talking about you and your health and well-being and that kind of thing. And they ask you about, you know, what do you have for breakfast? What do you have for lunch? And every question I just tried to get eggs into it. So I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, breakfast, like eggs,
Yeah.
lunch, omelette, dinner, poached egg, like always just.
Yeah.
And there was maybe 12 references. And I'll tell a lie in an interview all the time, but something silly, like I used to always lie about my dad's name. So they're like, you know, I would tell, because I talk about my dad a lot in stand-up.
Yeah.
What's your dad called? Oh, Brendan, Jeff, Michael. I'd always put something. He hated it. So I did that to amuse myself. But did
Yeah.
you ever have a thing you would do to?
We in Westlife we did. We had a few kind of code words and stuff. Like if there was a gorgeous girl interviewing us, especially if you're abroad, you know, and they're not full in English. And we used to call it a belt. That's what we used to say, which is a belter.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're like, oh yeah, you belt, and the album's out next week, belt. You know, you just under your breath.
Yeah.
And we'd have other words then. If we didn't like someone, we'd be like, we used to say for a boy was a buckle, so we'd say the book.
Right.
So if we didn't like, we'd say to the.
But I don't even know
manager,
what buckle means.
it's a boy. It's the Irish for boy.
Right. Okay.
So
right.
and if it was Colleen, we'd say call. So if we didn't like them, we'd be like, scoot the book.
Right.
Basically, get rid of him or get rid of her. Scoot the call. Yeah.
Right.
So they'd know then, right, you're finished, let's go.
You get some of the real die-hard fans that literally sleep outside for 3 weeks before you even arrive in the country.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or they
Yeah.
smell like that anyway.
Yeah.
But then when the odd time Louis Walsh would travel with us, you know, you'd meet one of these girls and they'd be home.
Right.
They'd be home.
Yeah.
And he'd say, Peggy Dallas, Patrick Pearce. The smell is fierce. Or he'd say, NAWW, NAWW. Fuck it up. Not a well woman.
I love what you're doing. I think it was, for a couple of times I've commented on anytime I've seen a video, like come do the podcast at some point, but you get asked to do stuff all the time. So I'm buzzing to do this interview because I love what you're doing now, and I love both bands, like growing up.
Thanks for having us, man. Thanks for having us.
I was saying earlier, because we were talking about Boyzone and Westlife songs. There's one song in particular, I'm sure you get this all the time, of like, oh, my favourite song is this, my favourite song is that. I got you'll be able to tell me the year. A Different Beat album.
96 was it? 95,
Yes,
96?
and
I wouldn't know.
No.
I would have been 8 when I got that, and there was
Me too.
I got a
you know.
Unfortunately, I was probably 50.
and I got a Ghetto Blaster for Christmas, and I got that album.
No way. So you were that cool 8-year-old kid with a ghetto blast on your shoulder playing Boyzone?
Yeah,
I would have beaten you up in the schoolyard.
yeah, just hanging out the basketball courts.
No wonder you have to do a podcast to get sex.
Yeah, I would go down to the basketball courts and just pump on my boy band music.
Playing
Oh
handball.
my god.
But the song,
What song was it?
The song, A Different Beat.
Oh, the
yeah.
song. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very caveman-esque, isn't it?
Christmas Day, I was just sitting in my room by myself. I was like, it's done something to me, this song. It's like,
I'll tell you the story behind that song. So Take That had brought out their song Never Forget. No. Is it Never Forget? Where at the end of the show they do this big clap in the air, and obviously they kind of robbed the whole idea from Queen, because it was Queen. They got the So it's trying to find something like an anthem for your band for the end of a big arena show, so that you got everybody kind of doing the same gesture together. And that's A Different Beat was written and put together for the whole reason of trying to get trying to create something new with an audience of going, and it worked. But unfortunately, the signal was like yeah. Yeah, but when you look at it back and all the people doing it, it looks like Hitler's on stage and they're all Nazis.
Didn't think that one through, did you?
it was that song is just different genre wise to anything else.
Yeah.
Because it was like an
It's got
African
the African
inspired
beats in it and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and we do it on tour as well, and we have Stephen's voice doing his verse still, so we kind of
Class.
do a duet with Stephen in
Yeah.
it, which is lovely to do.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
very nice,
It's
yeah.
a nice moment.
That is I like that. That's I don't know if that would be many people's like that's my favorite. I'm sure there's like a range of favorite songs, but that
Well,
for
it's
me,
funny
I
you should
was-
say that, because yesterday I was doing a live radio show in Drogheda, and he asked questions to the fans of their favourite Westlife song and their favourite Boyzone song, and Swear It Again and Different Beat came up. Swear It Again and Different Beat came up so many times I couldn't believe it. No, I'm telling you lies, it wasn't their favourite song. It was what the first two number ones were. So it was Words and Swear It Again,
Right.
and people thought the first number one was Different Beat. That's what it was.
So no one likes it then.
No. Well, it was number one, so
Yeah.
somebody likes it.
Yeah.
Sippers, let me very quickly interrupt this podcast just to tell you very quickly that we are sponsored by none other than NordVPN. Because here's the thing. Say you're trying to access content, it might buffer like that. You know, if you're in a different country and you're trying to watch content from another country, it might buffer like that, and you go, what the hell is that? But if you have a good VPN, that means you can access content from anywhere. You basically put this app on your phone, NordVPN, you install the VPN on your phone, and by the way, you can install, you can have one account for 10 devices. Then that means you can just tell your phone, hey, I'm here, I'm there, and you can have access to South Korean Netflix when you're in Fosty, where's the country? Lithuania. You're in Lithuania, you want to watch some South Korean anime or something on Netflix, you can do that with NordVPN. They're the best VPN in the world. Whenever I was in Mallorca, I wanted to watch some of the Euros, bang, BBC iPlayer. You sort of, you and NordVPN are in together, and you're just lying to your IP address, you know? Your IP, where are you again? You go, oh, yeah, I'm just in the house. VPN's like, alright then, we'll let you watch BBC iPlayer. You're like, haha, I'm in Mallorca. You can get 2 months free 4 months free when you sign
4
up with a
extra
2-year
month.
plan.
Yep.
That's unbelievable. NordVPN.com/Tea with me. The link for that is in the description. You got to get this, especially if you travel. You got to get it. Let's get back to this episode of Tea with Me podcast with my guest, Boyzlife. You say no one likes a different beat.
No, I love Different Beat. I
the
love
continent of Africa love a different beat.
No,
that
I-
is.
And do you know what? We only started doing it probably a year or two ago, and I'd never sung it before. And I have to say, the first time I sang it, I really felt it. I was like, this is a great song to perform.
Yeah.
Really
Wherever we
song.
do it, what we do is we get the local kind of kids dance school, and we give them the opportunity to come on stage on that song, and we teach them in sound check, we teach them the hand movement.
Yep.
So just for that song in every show now, every town we go
Videos
to,
from
the
the
local
1940s.
dancers come on. And
If anyone saw that video in black and white, us on the stage going, "Holla! This way."
My first ever CD single, Love Me For A Reason.
Was it really?
My first ever CD single.
Can't believe you're being so
I remember
honest.
when I heard it. It was in the car with my cousin, my granny and granda, and my cousin had it on tape. And I was like, that is because I remember because the single
that was December '94.
So I'd have been 6 or 7,
I was 14.
and the Keith was 40.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
49.
The single was silver with the half kind of like the logo. The
Oh,
half,
yeah, the Boyzone
half silver,
logo,
half
yeah.
black. That was great. I remember like that was probably just for the age where you were trying to be properly cool, and me and my friend group, like me and my cousin, a few of our mates, like would have like taken it and like harmonized with that and stuff.
Yeah.
And like a year later, you go like, we can't do that. But I remember enjoying.
What time are we starting the actual podcast? Because there's no way this is going to make it into the finished cut.
Listen, love me for a reason.
I love different people. I love me for a reason. That's your cred gone.
No, listen, I love it.
Do you remember when you used to do a podcast to get sex?
But and everything I think what comes across with what you are doing now is like how much fun you guys and the audience are having, because it's a celebration of everything you've done up until now, and then I'm putting out new music as well, because that's one thing I wondered.
I think that's why we're going so long.
Yeah.
Like you have to remember, that Boyzone only went on for what, 5 or 6 years.
6 years.
I was
yeah.
in Westlife for 6 years. We're doing this 9.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we have so much fun.
Yeah.
There's no kind of bad side to what we do at the moment. There's no negative parts where you go, we love doing this, but we hate that. We just love all of it, because basically, besides having to do the odd interview here and there, the rest of it is just basically touring and being on stage every night, playing golf in the day and going to the bar afterwards. We just have really good fun. I always wonder if we had that kind of crack in the days of Westlife and Boyzone, how long they might have lasted, or how long I would have lasted in Westlife.
Well, I was going to say, it seems more like on your own terms now.
Yeah.
Everything's
Which
on
must
our
be
own
great.
terms now, but I mean, we have to not forget to look back at where we did start. We didn't start out to do what we're doing now. It was an autobiographical show where we were trying to give the fans an idea of life, what life was like for us from our perception.
Yep.
And talking about the people that we'd worked with, the people that we were lucky enough to meet and to perform with, and it was only when we sat down and started to write this show that we realised how lucky and how fortunate we had been in our careers to like, especially for Boyzone, because we started off playing pubs and clubs and the back of a 40-foot flat truck, and then we get into some nightclubs, and it was the Smash Hits road show that we managed to get, and we won the best new act on the road, which then gave us the opportunity to perform on the Smash Hits show winners party, poll winners party,
Which was that was the ultimate.
that was the
Like,
ultimate
that tour
at the year of Love Me For A Reason, and Will Smith was the host.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that kind of launched us into, because that was live on the TV,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some massive acts were on that show, and we got to perform on that show and receive our reward. And that kind of,
because who got it the year before? Was it Take That the year before?
no,
Backstreet
it was
Boys?
it was the best new band on the road is
Yeah.
what we won.
But that's what we won as well. So it would become this thing that whoever kind of won that award would go on then to be massive
yeah.
the following years.
And when we were writing the autobiographical show, you sit back and you realise like we'd performed with Pavarotti. And there's a great backstage story from Pavarotti, and on the same bill that day we had to share mics with people for the last. We were singing that song, we are the world, we are the children, and we're swapping mics, and the camera pans across, and there's BB King, Joe Cocker, Lionel Richie, Shane, Mariah Carey, Keith,
Pavarotti story.
so
Brilliant. You have to hear the Pavarotti story.
I love to hear the Pavarotti
Come on,
story.
tell them the Pavarotti story.
So, like we said earlier, like back in those days, the record company would kind of treat you like you're a sellable commodity, and they need you on your shelf because you only have a shelf life.
Yeah.
And there's no. I was a very young dad. I have a 28-year-old son now, and
So what age were you when you had your son?
I was 20 when we found out he was coming, and I was 21 when he was born.
Right, I never knew that. So you were doing the boy band thing.
He was born in
As a dad?
96 and we started in 93, so we were only 3 years into it, and I had that responsibility, but time away from home was constant, and you couldn't enjoy your success or your fame or whatever because you were so tired all the time.
Yeah.
Concert touring was great. because you had the day to yourselves to do what you wanted, which was usually die of a hangover. But a promotional tour was different. You're up in the morning at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to do live TV, live radio. There wasn't digital back then. It was all film. So you're doing photo shoots for 3 different magazines during the day. You've got a stylist there. You have to change your clothes for every look for each page of the magazine. It takes ages to get the lights right and they have to wait for the Polaroid to heat up before they can look to see if it's right. So it becomes a very monotonous, long, tiresome day. And unfortunately, sleep deprivation, it just ruins everything. You know, you can't see the wood for the trees. So where we should have been really high in life and loving what we're doing, we were knackered tired and we didn't get much time off. So even like if we finished work in London at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening and we were back in at 6 the next morning, we were literally going home to get sleep in your own bed to fly back to London first thing the next morning. That's what you used to do just to get some downtime or to see your family, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got to a stage where we were doing our biggest concert ever back home in Dublin.
What year would this have been roughly?
This would have been 98. It was our biggest show to date. I think it was 70,000 people.
We were on the show with you, the RDS.
The RDS.
We were on the show. We were their
So
support act.
we planned this. We were introduced to Jack Daniels by our tour manager.
Right.
And
Lovely fella, by the way.
I was going to say, he's not another support act, just to clarify.
so sorry?
I was just clarifying he wasn't another support act.
No. But we spoke about Jack Daniels in all the magazines that we were in, and Jack Daniels saw all the credits they were getting, so they got in contact with us and said they'd like to support our after show party for this. So we were touring all over Europe, all over the UK in a big arena tour, but the show in Ireland was in the RDS, outdoors in the RDS, which I think it holds anything from 30,000 to 70,000. So it was the biggest gig we had done to date at home.
Yeah, it was huge.
And it was packed. It was manic, and it was so exciting because we were home, all our friends, and we'd no social media back then.
Yeah.
So nobody knew when you weren't performing in Ireland or when you went on TV. People just thought you were enjoying yourself over in the Bahamas. They didn't realise you were in Southeast Asia, you were in Australia, you're in South Africa. You're working the whole time.
Yep.
So when you got back to Dublin then to do a big show like this, it's really special for you because you get to show what you've been doing, your craft that you've been learning all these years. You get to be on the big stage with the big bells and whistles, the big production, and you've got all your friends, your peers, your families all there to see the show, and it's really special, you know. And we had planned a massive big after show party because it was the last show of the tour. We're all heading off on 2 weeks holidays, which we hadn't had a holiday in over 2 years. So it was, everybody was at the end, but we could get through it because we knew we had a break. You'd see the light at the end of the tunnel. And we had stilt walkers and those paper mache U2 heads. You remember they made them of the 5 Boyzone lads, and they had the paper mache heads there.
It sounds like a Wolf of Wall Street party.
Yeah, it was.
Bring in the strippies.
It was nuts. It was nuts. It was great, and we couldn't wait for the party. But the show was 2 hours long, and you know it was a great energetic show. I used to do that song, but you didn't come out and sing. Yeah, but it was Ronan came out and sang with me because I used to do a song that I wrote, and Ronan would come out and do the backing vocals, and I got on my clothes for the last show. I got on my clothes put onto Velcro, and we were wearing these kind of dodgy quiz show host type blue suits, and I put all mine on Velcro. And when I'm doing my song, and I had long hair at the time, and I pulled off the suit, and I had a tricolour on in hot pants. Right. And hot pants tricolour was all I was left wearing on stage, you know. But before we went on stage that night, and everybody's really excited and pumped up, Louis Walsh came into the dressing room, and he says, boys, you can't take your holidays tomorrow. And we're going, what are you talking about? We're definitely taking our holidays tomorrow. No, I need you to be in Dublin Airport at 8 o'clock in the morning. Pavarotti is sending his private jet to pick you up and bring you to Modena. You're performing with Pavarotti and friends. You can't turn down Pavarotti, lads. You have to be there.
Isn't his bollocks?
So, no need for that language, man. But it ruined my story and come up with language like that. But anyway, the next morning I'm thinking, the after show party, how are we going to make it at 8 o'clock in the morning? We're going to go partying. Yeah. It's going to go all night. Like, we're going to be in a heap. So throughout the midst of the night, the lads found out that the concert in Modena wasn't on the next day. It was on in 2 days' time. They were flying us out the next day because they needed the jet back to go and pick somebody else up. Right. And they wanted us there to do sound check. Yeah. But the concert wasn't on until the next day. But the jet wasn't going to be available for us the next day. So if we didn't go the next morning, you have to go to Dublin Airport, get a scheduled flight to Rome, and then get a connecting flight from Rome. And when the 5 of us travelled together at that point in time, we just created a stir everywhere we went. Of course, yeah. And it was a nightmare to go anywhere. And I'm kind of thinking, I can have a really, really good night, get a taxi straight from the bar to the airport. The private jet will be waiting for me. I'll get on the jet, and that goes directly where I need to be.
Yeah.
Now that sounds sensible.
Sounds perfect
to me.
Sounds great.
Sounds perfect.
So anyway, we all arrived at the airport the next day, all hungover or still drunk, and the lads had this information that I didn't know, that the gig wasn't on that day. So they said, no, that plane doesn't look safe. And to this day, they'll swear blind that the plane looked dodgy and the plane looked like a love tube with wings on it and all the rest of it. But we had GQ magazine travelling with us, because at that stage of our career we were trying to get to an older audience and to become more credible and more cool. So having GQ magazine doing a whole photo shoot on this trip to Modena and all was going to be great. So we had a journalist representative from the record company and a photographer travelling with us, and I'm the only one that got on the plane. The rest of the boys all went home to bed. I said, no, we'll get a scheduled flight from Dublin Airport tomorrow. And somebody had to go, because the journalist and the photographer was going.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, just stay with it. You'll be fine. So the flight was grounded for about an hour, and my hangover was starting to kick in. So you know the little small bottles of red wine you get in the plane?
Yeah.
I start drinking the little bottles of red wine just to keep me hangover at bay, right? So we get on the plane anyway, and I entertained them on the plane, on the flight all the way over to Modena, whatever. And there's hundreds of fans outside the hotel. It's all chaos when we get over there, because there's so many bands playing: Ricky Martin, Lionel Richie, Gloria Estefan, Mariah Carey, all together, you know. So I just couldn't wait to get to my bed. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon by the time we got there, and I just couldn't wait to get to my bed. I was so tired. So we get into the hotel, checked in, and obviously I've no management with me. I'm on my own, no tour manager, because they're not coming till tomorrow. So I go up and I get into bed, and I literally just take off my clothes, close the curtains, make the room as dark as I possibly can. I get into bed, and all you hear is bang, bang, bang on the door. I go, who the hell is that, right? So I get out of bed and I kind of peek my head around the corner, and I go, hello. He goes, Mr. Keith? Mr. Keith? I went, yeah, your car is waiting outside. I said, my car? For what? To go where? Oh, you must go to the venue now and sound check with the Mr. Pavarotti. I'm going, well, and we're singing no matter what, and I don't even know the lyrics of that song, right? Because Ronan and Stephen sing the lead vocals of that song. All I had to learn was the backing vocals. Now I have an idea, but you don't want me. This is a full orchestra. It's a 200,000 people outdoor live gig in Modena, full live session band, full orchestra and a choir, right? And they want me to go and sound check with Pavarotti, right, who's singing full operatic no matter what in Italian.
That's right.
So there's nothing I could do. I had to go.
You had to wing it.
I'm on stage there with Pavarotti, who hasn't a word of English, you know, and the song starts, and I'm waiting for him to start, and he's waiting for me to start. And I'm supposed to start because it was Ronan's vocal to start it. And look, I did my best, you know, but I can't imagine it was that good. He was looking at me like I had 10 heads, you know. I just wasn't ready for it, you know. So anyway, we did that. I was mortified. There's another story that goes on. I ended up meeting Joe Cocker in the bar back in the hotel and go, there's no point in going to bed now. Come on, let's have a pint. And then I think we had a 3K race outside the hotel when we were drunk, but that's another story. God rest his soul. So the next day, anyway.
For a second, I thought you meant with Pavarotti. I was like, please tell me you won, because if you lost.
No, with Joe Cocker. So
what did Pavarotti think when you whipped out the tricolour hot pants?
No, that was in the show in Dublin the night before.
No.
He hadn't seen that yet. But I was going to show him the next night.
That would have been the night to do it, for sure.
Absolutely. So the next night we're all wearing white suits. This is on YouTube, and I forgot all about this.
I've seen the Pavarotti.
Right, so I'd forgotten. So anyway, we're the backstage dressing rooms are in all these marquees, and it's real plush, like 5-star marquees, you know. And Mariah's dressing room is beside ours, and the carpet in the dressing room is like 3 inches deep, really comfortable, lush red velvet carpet, and I am absolutely hanging out at this stage. Yeah. The dressing room had all the rider in it: the blue M&Ms in one bowl and the green M&Ms in another bowl, the bottle of vodka, the bottle of JD, the bottles of wine, the beer. I mean, we were being really spoiled, you know. And we still have the journalist and the photographer there, who were there for the sound check as well, by the way, which was mortifying. But I'm lying down on the dressing room floor in my white suit just to try and get 15 minutes sleep before we go on stage. Now, backstage, the security is all the Secret Service, the Italian Secret Service, right? Because of the names that were backstage, and your backstage pass was a laminate that you had to wear around your head with your photograph on it. Yep. And like the security is really, really tight, you know. So I'm lying in the dressing room, and we're all in the dressing room. The 5 lads, stylist, makeup artist, the journalist, the photographer, and our tour manager, Mark Plunkett. And there's a knock on the dressing room door. And you hear this lady going, "Oh, hello, Mr. Mark. Luciano's wife would like to meet the boys." And 1 second, please. And he closes the door and goes, Duster. That's me. Get up. I go, what? He says, get on your feet. Line up, lads. And it was like a royal lineup, you know. So we're lined up, and this lady comes in, and the 3 kisses, hello, grand, and doing all the niceties. She goes out. I'm back on the floor, having a kip, banging the door. Door opens. Mr. Mark, Luciano's manager would like to say hello to the boys. 1 second, please. Duster, on your feet. I'm getting up now, and another. This goes on 3 or 4 times, you know. And this is a story against myself, but it's funny, so I don't mind telling you. And it's true, right? So after 3 or 4 times, I'm going, what the hell is going on? We're here for Pavarotti and friends. Who the fuck is this Luciano guy? And I said, who's this fucking Luciano guy? And Ronan said, you're messing. I said, I'm not fucking messing. I'm trying to have a kip here. And some guy called Luciano once. And they go, oh my God, you're not messing, are you? Go, no, it's Luciano Pavarotti. That's his name. I thought, oh Jesus. I thought like Pavarotti was his name, like Pavarotti Murphy or Pavarotti Smith or something.
Pavarotti Murphy.
I didn't know. So so that was the story against myself. I didn't know who Pavarotti's real name was.
That's a wild one to say you've gigged with.
Well, he's dead now, God rest him.
Yeah.
And Joe Cocker's passed away. I think BB King.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of people that I perform that are the Morris Gibb, Robin Gibb.
Yep.
There's so many people have performed with
The
that.
best part about Pavarotti though was, did you know that he actually wears a Union Jack G-string when he
I would have healed so much.
It was just to have a bit of balance on the stage, you know, the lads in their tricolour hot pants. It might have been a G-string, it could have just actually been hot pants. I don't know.
I didn't know that you guys supported Boyzone back then. I didn't know. I didn't know you guys overlapped.
That's how we started.
Right,
the very
right.
first
I
gigs
never
we
knew
done was we started on the UK. Their first UK, not their first. Our first tour was supporting them in the UK, and then all over Europe as well, wasn't it?
Who
2
else
years.
did you?
Nobody, just Boyzone.
Oh, really?
Our next tour was our own.
So this is said, we started in pubs and clubs and trucks. Westlife literally went straight to our arena stage.
They
went straight to supporting us, so they didn't have to do the hardships. So he did. We're working together 9 years, and I tell these stories. He goes, man, can't believe you had to do all that shit. Why did you just take that or something?
Was that 70,000 that outdoor show? Was that like?
Yeah, that was that. Do you know what?
massive
At that stage, we'd actually stopped supporting Boyzone, and they brought us back just for that one.
Right.
Because I think we'd done 2 tours, wasn't it? We did the first UK tour, and then we did your European tour the following year.
It was 98, 99, because we split up at the end of 99.
Yeah, and then the next tour we did was our own tour straight in after that.
I've in my mind, anywhere you guys did shows and do shows, you get a great turnout. With stand up, I found like definitely this year I've tried to do more European shows in non-English speaking countries, and there's a couple you go, it's only a 40-seater, we'll do it, but there's a few I've had to cancel, like Milan.
Yeah.
I was like, boys, book me a Milan
Why
show.
did you say Milan? Because we just cancelled it?
No, did you guys cancel Milan?
We just cancelled Milan gig.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better. Hey, the 3 of us did
Yeah.
We're all together. I told you.
The San Siro, let's go big.
But you want to try and talk about the good gigs and stop talking about the negative shit.
You
man.
and Pavarotti, stop you going on.
Yeah. Fuck Milan, that comes from the 3 boys.
But you know what's crazy though, because I know what you're saying about the places that don't speak English. I always thought that as well. Like we struggled in places like France, and Spain for a while as well, and Italy. But weirdly enough, the places that literally speak no English at all, Southeast Asia is our biggest territory.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you,
crazy.
because I was saying that it's so hard to predict what numbers you'll do in certain places, so sometimes you just go and you see what it's like. But where surprised you? Where back
Asia.
in the day? Right.
Asia. But years later we kind of figured out why it was, because they don't understand the lyrics that we're saying. But I think the reason why bands like Boyzone and Westlife and a lot of boy bands are massive in Asia is as well, a lot of our songs are quite simple melodies. Right. So they just kind of sing along the melodies, and sometimes they don't even know what we're singing, but it seems to really work in Southeast Asia.
Where was the first place you went outside of, say, UK and Ireland?
Well, for Boyzone, obviously, we were before Westlife, and when we first landed in Jakarta in Indonesia, it was just mental. Like the airplane was being taken off to an isolated part of the airport, and we thought it was for security reasons. We had no idea it was because of us.
Yeah.
And it was only when we were sat there wondering, and everybody on the plane was wondering why the plane, and there's police all around the plane, and we're wondering why there must be a bomb on the plane or something. We didn't know what was going on, and then the armed military police got on the plane and escorted the 5 of us off the plane, and we thought we were in trouble. We didn't realise airport had been overrun by fans who knew we were coming in on that flight, and there was 12 motorbikes. We were all put into a Volkswagen van, and there was 6 bikes in front and 6 bikes behind, and we got an armed escort straight through through Jakarta to our hotel.
So it's the same as us. We never actually stepped foot in Jakarta airport for the first 3 or 4 times we went. It was like that, off the plane and just out a fence. You didn't even check your passports. We were just gone.
But you see, there was no social media there, so none of that was ever documented. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, but that gives a glimpse into what I've heard you guys talk about, and so many music artists of saying, like, you never see a place, you never truly see like a city.
No, we do now. Since we started Boyzlife, we take time to breathe.
Yeah,
we play a lot of golf. Yeah. So we, if a golf course is all we get to see, well, so be it, because golf courses are sometimes the nicest part of the city that you might be in. Yeah. But we see a lot more now since we do this. But back in the 90s, it was airport, hotel lobby, venue. Venue after show party.
I said to you now, just like, if you think back to those days and you're like, I cannot remember the difference between any of the Southeast Asian countries, because all I remember is an aeroplane, a car, a hotel room. You don't even see the front of the hotel because you're underneath the car park, up through the kitchen, straight up and into your room, and then you see the venue and you're gone. So I can't even remember what the different countries look like or where they are, because every day is the exact same as that. You've no interaction with anybody at all except for the people in your bubble, and everything just blends into one thing. So for 6 years, when I think of a day's work in Westlife, most of them will be like that. Wake up in a hotel room, somebody comes to get your hair and makeup, gives you clothes, 5 of you end up together, into a lift, into a car, into a studio, into a gig, and home, and that's it. And there's nothing else outside of that. There's no going into a shop or going into a pub. Like, people talk about what are the after parties. Like, we couldn't have after parties in those days, could we?
No.
Couldn't go anywhere. It was like we could have our own little drink back in the hotel in our room, but there was no going to clubs and stuff like that back then.
Yeah.
So weird.
You see, if you're doing a concert, obviously the fans will find out what plane you're coming in on and what hotel you're staying at and blah, blah, blah. But when you're doing a promotional tour, they don't. Unless there's somebody in the record company leaking out the information, they don't get it. So I remember going, like, Bangkok, the first time I was in Bangkok, I couldn't believe the wealth and the poverty. On the gable wall of a mansion, you have a shanty town,
right?
And that's how close it was. It was a culture shock, complete culture shock for us. Coming from
there's no middle class, is there?
No,
and
I'd never been on an airplane before, Boyzone. I'd never left Ireland before, so it was a massive culture shock for me. But we did, in those days, we had security all right, but we'd go off to the markets in Bangkok, and we did get to see on the promotional tour. You know what I mean?
Go on,
a place called Pat Pong. You know what I mean?
It's a Christmas market, isn't it?
We were big into ping pong back then.
There were Christmas baubles.
Is there places with Boyzlife that you want to go? Like, maybe places you haven't been, but somewhere you just...
There's certain places we love to go.
Yeah.
Like we're going down to Sun City this time next year.
Where's that?
It's in South Africa.
Oh, okay.
And we're invited down there to perform and to play golf with Gary Player, the legend.
For his 90th birthday.
We did his 80th birthday. We did his 84th birthday, and that's a place that we'll really look forward to going to.
Yeah.
We're going all over Australia on the next tour.
Australia's good too. Yeah.
And there's a place in Perth called Joondalup, which is one of my favourite golf courses. There's 27 holes, so you pick your 18, and it's an old quarry. But I just remember when Brian and I were down there last, it blew my mind, I
love the idea that your tour is so based around golf that it's like Augusta, St Andrews, just like
Listen, you have no idea. It literally is.
Yeah.
Like when we're actually looking at the tour dates, we're looking at, right, we're playing Birmingham, right, we'll stay the Belfry there. We're playing Cardiff, Buff, there we go, Celtic Manor. And the only problem is our Irish tour, so we're doing Belfast, Galway, Cork and Dublin. The only problem is it's in January. It's going to be absolutely freezing.
It's this time of year. Yeah. Because, obviously, up here, you're spoiled for golf courses up here. Down in Cork, you've got the old head of Kinsale, which we absolutely love. Yep. If we're playing Galway, we'd probably go up to Mayo to play golf.
Or Ross's Point or somewhere like that. Sligo or somewhere,
Yeah.
Look at us, like, we're getting all good.
Well, it's too cold. It's too cold. We're fair weather golfers, man. We don't like the rain or the wind.
But that's going to be the beauty as well, because we'll have no golf played now for the whole month of January, and then come the end of February when we head down to New Zealand. We're down there. We've got something like 25 shows in New Zealand, Australia. So we're going to be there for the guts of a month.
I had a tough one.
We'll be playing every day.
I did New Zealand for the first time earlier this year. Or was it last year? This year. Tough one.
Why?
On Monday night in New Zealand.
Oh, really?
Tough.
Tumbleweed.
It was just, venue was lovely, staff were great, It was just...
And that was it? That's all that was there?
We just couldn't get it going. We couldn't get it going.
Really?
But Australia was... I've done Australia the last 2 years, and it is unreal to just... Now, obviously, there's a mix of people there, but to play to people that are from home.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when they see you come out there,
Yeah.
and you see, like... just the love in the room, and the you know, people see each other, people that went to
Irish
school with each
people are
other,
so
see
much
each other.
nicer and kinder to each other away from Ireland.
With a song,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
vitamin D.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a vitamin D.
Like, we go to an Irish bar in Ireland or in the UK and we're slagged from a height.
Yeah.
We were gigging down in Australia and we went to an Irish bar and they sang Ole 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 for 2 hours before we sang a song.
Right.
And everybody was just so delighted to see Keith and Brian are going,
Yeah.
where were you when we were gigging back home?
Yeah.
You know?
Ireland's always like that, though. It's even when we were kids, you go to Spain, and as soon as you see an Irish bar that has an Irish breakfast, you're like, oh my God, get me in quick.
Get a bit of culture
Haven't had
for
a
the
sausage
boys,
in 3
yeah.
days, quick.
Yeah. The first thing we did was go to find
The Irish bar.
Irish.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, where are we
food.
going to have our breakfast?
Yeah.
I yeah, but when you guys got together to do like an autobiographical show, when that was done, during that we was already going like, we're doing this again.
Well, no, because the first tour we put on sale sold out really, really quickly. So when we started to do the first tour, we put on the second tour
Right.
for a few months later. And it just kind of happened that every time we do a tour, we'd go, okay. So on the second round of the autobiographical tour, we started getting feedback from people. We only did 5 or 6 songs in that show.
Right.
So like we tell that Pavarotti story, and then we'd sing No Matter What, because that's the song he sang in Pavarotti.
Yep.
So we kind of did the song that went with the story. And people are going, look, we've got like 21 number 1 singles in the UK, and
Yeah.
we're doing 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So like we want to hear more of the music. So we said, why don't we just go out and just do the songs? Forget about the stories and the screens and just sing the songs. So then we started doing that, and then that kind of expanded, because the first time we did it, we actually got the backing tracks. There were Filipino karaoke backing tracks off the internet. They weren't even ours now. We're like, where?
Did they
are we
sound
getting a band?
good?
He's like, me bollocks getting a band. He goes, you know how much it costs to put a band on behind us? He says, no, we'll just do tracks. I was like, what tracks? He surely you have the Western tracks. I don't have them. He goes, have you got? He had a couple of Boyzone ones. And I was like, what about all the Westlife ones? He goes, I'll sort that out. There you go.
I love the idea of you boys on YouTube just ripping MP3s before the show.
You know, here's the gas thing. We were singing Swear It Again, and the BVs was literally 4 Filipino backing singers like, I'm never gonna say goodbye. And they're like, geez, the boys have a bit of a weird accent on that one. They got a bit of a twang. So then we realised then we can't do it, because it was getting bigger and bigger. We're like, you know, this is all right if you're going out to a couple hundred people. All of a sudden we were starting to sell out venues with like 1,500 people. We're like, we can't be using these
Skipping
tracks.
out on giant screens. But
So then we're like, listen, we'll get a live band.
There was a part in the middle there when we went from selling out in 4 hours every show,
Yep.
and we decided to do the backing track singing, and the promoter at the time booked the wrong venues.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we done a full tour in the academies, which are kind of like acoustic venues.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
sticky beer floors, no seats.
Yep.
You know, beer being poured everywhere, and these venues would hold anything from 600 to maybe 1,500 or whatever. And it just didn't sell. Some venues were 35% sold, some venues and we thought the whole concept of Boyzone and Westlife was a great idea. Like, we put it on sale, it sold out, and all of a sudden we're in a position now and we're on stage and it's a little bit eggy, and we're kind of going, oh my God, this is not working. There's just the two of us on stage with a Boyzone or a Boyzlife backdrop, and it just didn't seem to be working, and we didn't know what was wrong, because it had been so successful until this moment, and the two of us were getting a little bit disheartened by the whole thing, kind of going, look, maybe we've had our fun, maybe it's time just to, you know, hang up the dancing shoes and walk away.
Get a job in Thailand to do it.
Yeah, back to McDonald's. And this, we were playing Birmingham in the academy, and I think the venue held about 1,200, and we sold maybe 700 or 800. And this promoter came in and said, guys, great to meet you, I love the concept, I love the brand. He said, I want to put you out on tour, I want to put a full live band behind you, all female musicians, are going to get them all to wear like blonde bobbed wigs, 5 girls on stage, full live band, full production, proper theatres, town halls, city halls. And I'm going, listen man, were you at the gig tonight?
Yeah.
We didn't even sell out here. You're doing it all wrong. Trust me, you're doing it all wrong. Your fans are of that age now where they want a nice velvet comfortable seat. They want catering, they want bar, they want a restaurant, they want wine, they want to be looked after, you know. I said, look, I'm going to promise you this minimum guarantee on this and da 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 da. And he goes, you know, can we do the deal? And I said, look, man, I'll take your money, but it's not working, and all you want to do is throw more money at it. He goes, let me worry about that. It's a minimum guarantee. Let me worry about that. And we shook hands with him, and he sold out the tour, and it was just bizarre.
What year was that?
just before COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Right.
2017, because Boyzone toured then 2018,
When did we start?
2019.
2017 was the first tour, was it?
Yeah.
It's 2018.
So it was probably the end of 2017 into 2018. And it was unbelievable. We were delighted. Now, a lot of the musicians didn't work out, and we ended up going back to Boyzone's original musical director, who still works with us now.
Oh, okay.
And we got him in to put a new band together.
Great.
But it worked great. But how we know how well it worked, we were doing a theatre in Newcastle. Or we were finishing up the tour, the Academy tour, in Newcastle.
Yep.
And literally, like about 800 yards down the road was the theatre that we're going to play in the new tour next year.
Like 12 months later.
Yeah.
Is that the Tyne Theatre, no?
Timeside Theatre or whatever
Yeah,
you call
yeah.
it. So the tickets for that went on sale that day, right? Where we were playing, the tickets had been on sale for 6 months.
Yeah.
It held 1,200 people. We sold 300 tickets. And just down the road, 400 yards, the theatre that held 1,800 sold out in one day.
On the day we were playing in
Right.
Newcastle, so we were going to go. So we sold out that today, but we've got to go on here tonight to
That we've been selling for 6
I
months.
feel like you're
But
mailing everyone
it
going,
does show you how important promoters are. You know, a lot of people just think you put on a show.
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
sells.
of course.
It really is an art to it. You know.
I did that theatre you're talking about in Newcastle.
Yeah.
At the start
Tyneside,
of
was that
at the
it?
start of the tour. I think it's called the Tyne and some Tyne Theatre or something. It's bound to be the same one. It's like an opera house kind of.
Yeah. That's predominantly what we do now, all those types of venues.
We did it to so I'd done the comedy club and it's always for me I'll do the comedy club and then it's do you jump then to the local theatre?
Theatre, yeah.
But sometimes the jump is way too big and in Newcastle that place holds like 1,200 or something like you say. We had maybe 250 on the floor seats and we were trying to move it, to go to a small venue, couldn't move it. One of the best shows of the tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It was because sometimes that happens and the audience look around.
Yeah, I've got a great story for you. When I was doing my first solo tour after
This is
wrestling,
classic.
right? And I'm playing in Liverpool,
Yeah.
right?
In a massive arena.
Now, it's the what's it called, the Empire, Liverpool
Yeah.
Empire. It holds like 3,000 or 4,000 or whatever. It's a huge, massive place. And I'm playing it, but the day I was playing it was when Liverpool had won the Champions League and they were having their parade, which was literally outside. So I'm on stage and I've done the sound check and there's a piano on stage, so I'm just playing a few songs on the stage and the rest of the band are gone and I look up and I go, shit, I better get off, the doors will be open. I says to the guy at the back, excuse me, I said, when are the doors open? He goes, they're open. I was like, bollocks. Not one person in our fucking place. I ended up doing, I'm not lying, ended up being about 18 people in the thing because most of the people couldn't get in. And I literally performed to 18 people that night.
Well, sometimes, and that's like the thing I had in Newcastle of like, sometimes the audience look around and go, this feels empty and they can't get it and they feel awkward and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's magic where everyone just comes together and
Well,
they go,
you're all
"Fuck it,
together
we'll make
in
the
it,
most of this and we'll have a great one."
Yeah.
Because I just told you I was in Dubai 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
Was it? No, I came back last night and we did a show in a beautiful theatre. It was amazing. And if there had been like double the people,
in
it
it.
would have been great. But it was one of those ones where it was like the audience that were there were great, but sometimes you wish they could just bring the walls in. Or
Listen,
something.
man, it's those nights when you're backstage ready to go on and you're going on in 10 minutes and there's a rip or a tear in the curtain and you just have a little look out and you go, oh shit.
We performed at the World Cup in Qatar. We performed before
on the pitch at half time.
Holland, Argentina.
Serious?
Oh,
But here,
amazing.
it was before that. We were just before kickoff.
Right,
Before.
okay.
But here was the brilliant thing. So we were all so excited. FIFA brought us out, flew us out, put us up, everything, and we were like, "Oh, will we try and get tickets?" That's just FIFA bringing us out. They'll sort us out. We're performing before the game, so I said to him, "Perfect. We perform, buff, sit down, watch Messi, watch Argentina, Holland, unbelievable." So we're about to go on. And we said, "Listen, can we stay and watch the game after?" No.
No, we were escorted out of the venue.
Before kickoff, straight out the door. Came off. They're like, no, you don't need to go back to the dressing room. We've got your stuff in the van. Couldn't fucking believe it.
They flew us over first class. They put us up in a 5-star hotel. They paid us a load of $1 to sing at the game.
We didn't even bother asking.
And they kicked us out.
We just assumed.
And we were there. We wanted to go and see the England game. So we contacted the people, the contacts we had, and they told us where to go to get the tickets. They charged us $3,000 for 2 tickets.
Unbelievable. We had to go because we were there for 4 or 5 days. Like, we can't go to a World Cup and not do nothing but just see the pitch and leave. We said we have to go to a game.
We went to a game, but we got nosebleeds, didn't we?
The England-France game. And it was we were charged a lot, but we couldn't believe it. We were standing on the pitch going, right, this is going to be so exciting, and it was just the bluntness of it. Can we go and watch the game now? No.
You're like, can we just not leave?
But we were like, okay, we'll get our stuff out of the dressing room.
They brought us in the tunnel, so we were in the tunnel with the teams and all, and we're going, what does it matter if we just stay here and watch the game?
Don't look at Messi. Don't look at him.
Plus, people, like, if you went to a bar to watch it locally, it probably sounded like you guys were lying.
A bar in fucking Qatar.
But
They were still looking for it.
You were saying to people after the game, we were on at the start of that show.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, right.
That was a great experience, though.
It was amazing to be there. I have to say, it was a good World Cup, and I think that, you know, the fact that there wasn't that booze culture over there, because when we went to the England-France game, like, the atmosphere of the stadium was wonderful. You know, there was families, everyone was enjoying it. You never felt, you know, sometimes you go to these games, you feel a bit like it's a bit tense and stuff. It was lovely, and the structures they had. It was like the stadium for the England-France game was literally whatever it was. Like, let's say there was 50 rows of seats, and it was just literally all the same the whole way around. So you could walk from the top right down to the pitch. It was just perfectly designed.
People like enjoy on the podcast whenever I have like travel chaos, when something goes wrong. Yeah, I'm susceptible to fucking things up with travel. I'll get the time wrong to go to the airport. I'll do something. So we had a great time in Dubai. I went out with my two mates to do stand up. We had a brilliant time. The show was one of those ones where it was like, could have done with more people, but the people that were there were great, and we had a good time. And we went to see the Eminem concert and stuff, and we had a good time. And it had been like too good, you know, everything had worked out too well. Yeah. And I counted my chickens too early. We were sitting, we got into the airport to fly home yesterday morning, and we all separated. Someone wanted to go shopping, other guy was flying business. So I went to Giraffe Cafe, sat down, got myself some food, set my rucksack down, and I had a bum bag. Now, I've been against a bum bag up until now. 36 years I've been.
An up here bum bag. Right, not like up here.
I don't know. I actually think the crossbody's worse. I think it's better to just embrace naff dad.
Well, you're wearing Louis Vuitton shorts and Gucci slippers.
Ankle choker trousers with black slip-on shoes with no socks.
Yeah. Brand new veneers.
Are you sure you're from the north? You're not from Essex, are you?
I've got to a point where I go, the bum bag's just part of me now. Just want to travel. You'll never see me.
It is handy for your traveller's checks, isn't it?
It is.
The old fanny pack's great.
I've got my eye drops in it, everything, right? So I get sorted. I sit down at a table to eat, and I'm like, not cutting it fine time wise, but my mate's at the gate, and I say, text me when I need to go, because we're in the last boarding group. So I'm like, when they start boarding, tell me, I'll come down. And I set my stuff down, ate my food. Halfway through my food, he texts me, need to go. So I said, right. So I pay the bill, get my bum bag on, let's go.
Got your
rucksack.
Got on to the flight, got on, sat down, and just turned to him. I was like, I don't have my bag. Laptop, wallet.
Oh no.
So I said to the guy in the plane, I go, I've left my bag in the airport. He said, do you have any medication in it? And I said, because it was like 10 minutes left. My mate Willie T nudged me. He goes, fucking say medication. And I did have an inhaler in it, so I went, yeah, inhaler. He said, are you asthmatic? I was like, very. I'm just mild asthmatic. I was like, yeah. But they couldn't get it. But because I'd said, he's like, you're gonna have to contact lost property. Because I'd said I was asthmatic and they wouldn't let you on the plane. The medical people had to come on.
Took you off the plane?
No, it didn't. It would have been better if they took me off the plane.
No!
But everyone looks, and it's so I haven't needed an inhaler in years. I just bring it as a precaution. Yeah. They started hooking me up to to check that I was fit to fly. And by the way, there's loads of people from home.
Yeah, if you had said your medication was Viagra, would they give you the horn?
They go, listen, we know you're very asthmatic, and I'm like, oh. And they said, I just want to make sure. Are you happy to go without it? You know, they're like, but you're very asthmatic. Are you sure you want to go without it? And I said, yeah. And they said, right, well, so they brought over this fucking machine, start taking my blood pressure, hooking me up to a heart rate thing, check my oxygen, have to do.
I tell you what, it wasn't Ryanair, that's for sure.
No. It was Emirates, and there was loads of people from home on the flight.
Oh, you know,
what's wrong? What are you doing? Are you holding us up? Oh fuck!
Get him off.
And it was awful. I made peace with it. I said to the boys, "Went, listen, it's happened. There's no. I've got my passport. That's all I need. It'll show up. I'll get the bag eventually." So we're getting baggage reclaim. Comes round. I said to the boys, like, we'll laugh about this at some point. my mate goes, there was nothing important. He goes, at least you have your car keys, because I drove us to the airport.
Oh no! No!
Car keys were in the rucksack too.
Oh shit!
Well, if
Uber.
you're going to fuck up, you might as well fuck up.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're gonna do it
For a
wrong, do it
penny.
fucking right.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Had to get an Uber back to the house.
Oh,
Disaster.
From Dublin
From Dublin.
to
From
Belfast.
Yeah.
how much was that?
300.
300 quid.
Then
Oh,
my mate William goes, top guy, goes, in the morning, as in this morning, he goes, I'll pick you up. I'll take you to Dublin Airport to get your car. Can't find my spare key.
you're joking. So what about the bag? Have you not located the bag from Dubai?
I've got a case reference number, and we're working on it.
Wow, because they probably.
I'd be
they
very
might get-
surprised if you don't get that back.
Yeah, no, but you know what? Does like a rucksack in the middle of an airport, no matter what airport.
No,
it
let's
might-
go with case attitude.
It might be blown up actually.
yeah, yeah.
I made this analogy to my wife, right? I go, because like this always happens to me. I said, listen, if you swim in the Everglades once a year, you're never going to get attacked by a crocodile if you go for a quick dip. So people that fly once a year, if you go into the Everglades once a year, you won't get bit by a crocodile. But if you get in the Everglades every day or take a lot of flights, at some point you might get attacked by a crocodile. It's
Yeah.
inevitable.
Absolutely.
And I think that makes perfect sense.
If
Do you
it makes
fly
sense
every
to
day?
you, that's good.
Sorry, I don't understand that.
I
but
don't fly every day, but I mean,
Right.
I'm in the water.
What's a fucking crocodile doing on an Emirates flight? Are you sure?
I mean, there's
You
more
sure you
op-
don't need that inhaler? You might lack of oxygen to the brain. I think.
There's more opportunities for me to get it wrong.
Right.
Yeah, no,
I'm
of course,
flying
of
a lot.
course. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I have the same.
Yeah.
6 times.
I don't
a year.
think that analogy is going to take off. By the way.
Well, no, I've been flying to go to work for 30 years. I've been flying out of Dublin Airport for 30 years, since 93, 31 years. And back then, I didn't care about flying. It didn't bother me. I never even thought about it. I've become very, very, very aware of flying now. And it's something that I have to really consider and think about. My anxiety, which I never struggled from or even experienced before, is at an all-time high for taking off and landing. Do you know what I mean? Because it's exactly what you just said. It's okay if you take a flight and holidays once a year. You know, the chances are anything happening to you are slim.
If you're in the Everglades,
But if I'm
swimming in the Everglades once
if
a
I'm on a
year.
plane 3 times a week, I've more chance of being on that one flight that's going to go fucking wrong.
By the way, I'm on a flight at 6 o'clock this evening, so just remember that. And you're going to be sitting there tomorrow. Goes, no fucking gas. We were only talking about that last night.
you're going to lose something
We were
tomorrow.
only talking to him about that.
God
You're going
bless
to
his
lose
soul.
something
Jesus,
tomorrow,
God love him.
and you're going to say to your manager tomorrow, you're going to say, listen, if you're in the Everglades every day of the year swimming,
Just make sure you bring your inhaler.
trust me, you'll need that analogy at some point.
Try and
Trust me.
strangle him with your man bag. You'll be grand.
But yeah, look, I'm confident I'm going to get it back. Had to fill
Yeah.
out a form today describing the bag, what was in it. I'm going to get it back.
Well, you
gonna
think
be
if
all
someone
good.
open it, they'll see your wallet and you should see your name on it.
We're getting it back. It's going to be all good.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, if somebody sees a backpack lying on the floor
Yeah, they
in
destroy
an
it.
airport,
Yeah, but then again, not on the inside. Because they'd have to get it through security already.
that's true enough.
Yeah,
No.
I think it's going to be fine.
Either that or someone from up here has seen it and goes,
Hang
that's
on.
your man's bag, lads.
What was your last search on your laptop?
Well, we're all logged into one Google account through my Google. So I make sure my search history is
Deleted.
is above board.
Yeah.
Deleted.
And
Or above board.
Not to mention, you're coming from Dubai, so you're limited to what you can search over there.
You're right.
Just get a VPN.
But if you guys,
True that.
NordVPN, who we're sponsored by,
How are you?
have you guys ever fucked up something travel wise?
I didn't know where you were going with that.
None that bad.
Right.
None that bad. We've had a few
I did.
nightmares.
Well, it's a funny story. It's another story that we used to tell on the autobiographical show. So when Boyzone got back together in 2000 and at the end of 2007, we hadn't been together since '99. So it was it was Children in Need asked us to get back together to perform on the live Children in Need show and to do a medley of a medley of 3 of our songs. So we went into the dance studios to put together like choreographed bits for the medley, and we had a great time. And we all hadn't been together in literally 7, 8 years. But we after it went so well, our promoter said, you know, do you fancy going back out on the road? And he made us an offer we couldn't turn down. Really, a massive big arena tour all over the world. So we said we would, but we made a pact with each other that we're going to get into the gym and we're going to be the fittest that we've ever been. So we hired a personal trainer and a nutritionist, and we took it really, really serious, like deadly, deadly serious. And we all kept an eye on each other. So you're not going to cheat, I'm watching you, and you're not going to cheat because he's watching you. And it was like that. So we got absolutely shredded. We were in the best shapes of our life. We had a big, the going gets tough, we did on stage on treadmills. And we done a dance routine on treadmills, and we were all shredded. But so nobody had any shit food. All we were having was turkey and eggs and, you know, sweet potato and brown rice. And we'd chefs on the road with us. But the tour got us out to Southeast Asia. And there was myself, Mikey wasn't on this part of the tour. It was myself, Stephen Gately, God rest him, and Shane and Ronan. And we were flying from Taiwan to Australia. And our flight wasn't until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And we're flying Taiwan, Hong Kong, Australia. So we decided that we'd finished a lot of the tour and we hadn't really let our hair down, and we'd been watching ourselves and no alcohol and no shit food and da-da-da-da-da. And we decided the record company wanted to bring us out in Taiwan to kind of celebrate the success or whatever. So we decided to let our hair down and have a few drinks this particular night. So we got well on it. But there was some sort of a political thing going on in Taipei at the time with Chinese delegates that were over. And there was some kind of warning of riots and whatever. But our hotel was where the Chinese delegates were staying. Right. And all the streets that lead into the hotel at 12 o'clock at night were barricaded by the riot police with shields, right? But we were already out of that area in a nightclub at that time. We checked out of the hotel, left all the bags in the lobby of the hotel. So when we were leaving the nightclub, we'd fly back by the hotel, grab the bags and go to the airport. So, and I got hammered really early, and I thought, I'm going to go back to the hotel and have a couple of hours skip. I'm not staying out till 4 a.m. So I'm the one that find all these police with the shields up, and like going, how am I going to get into my hotel? All these guards up with these shields. And I literally went over, knocked on the shield, and, excuse me, man, sorry, I'm from Boyzone. Yeah, I'm staying in the same hotel. You wouldn't let me in. And an ordinary police came along, and I tried to explain to him, and the guy just turned his shield to the side, let me in, and I went back to the hotel, and all the hotel rooms were gone, so I ended up sitting in the bar drinking on my own till the lads got back. So it was even worse. So we get down to the airport, and we decide that we'll keep drinking through the flight from Taipei to Hong Kong, and then when we get on the flight from Hong Kong to Sydney, we'll sleep, because we have to hit the ground work and we have to go straight into early breakfast TV and radio and stuff. So we'll sleep on that part of the flight. So we're going through we fly, we drink all the way on the flight from Taipei to Hong Kong. We're in Hong Kong duty free, and none of us had any crap food at all at this stage. And we just see this big sign for Burger King, and Ronan's off shopping in Louis Vuitton or something like that, and we all just see this like a shining rainbow of Burger King. Going, oh, will we? I will if you will. Don't tell. We can't tell Ron. Nobody tells Ronan. Nobody tells Ronan. So we're the three of us are holding each other up. Myself, Shane, and Stephen, and we go up onto the upper level where Burger King is. And I said, lads, you sit down. I'll get the food in. So I go up to the counter, and I can't understand any. I just want 3 big Whoppers, and I said to Shannon, I don't know what they say, because the menu's in English. And, oh yeah, I couldn't even see it. So I got like double Whoppers with ketchup and mayonnaise, meals with chips and the whole lot. And we sat down and we opened up the burgers, and we just, like, honestly, it was like, oh, I remember biting into it. It was like, oh my God, and it's all dribbling down my chin onto my chest. It's all over me, you know. And I'm going, oh lads, I have to sleep on this next flight. I have to sleep. And Stephen's going, don't worry, I'm going to give you an antihistamine tablet and a melatonin, and the two of them together, they'll make you sleep. You'll be grand, don't worry about it. So, and we're the only ones travelling in business class, right? There's nobody else up there beside us. So we have the burgers and everything else, and taking into account we haven't had shit food for ages. Mm-hmm. So we sit down on the seats in the airplane, and you can't put your seat back until you're at cruising altitude. And Stephen comes over and gives me little tablets before we take off, and I take them, and I'm sitting on the plane for about 15 minutes waiting for it to put my seat down, and say there's a cup of water right in my arm's reach there. I'm sitting on the plane, but I just feel so fucking stoned. Right? I'm looking at the drink of water and I can't even reach it. It's like too far away. It's like, oh God, what has he done to me? You know? I'm on the plane, and that's when it starts. You get this little rumble in my tummy. Oh shit, that doesn't feel good. And it just starts, and I'm going, oh my God, right, I gotta go to the loo. Yep. So we take off anyway, and I literally just kind of slide off my seat and I crawl all up the airplane. I get into the jacks, close the door, and I sit down. Anyway, next I remember, bang, 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 bang on the door. Ronan, Duster, is that you? Duster, you in there? Duster, I'm going, yeah, what's wrong with you, man? I'm having a dump. He goes, we're landing. I've been on the jacks for 8 hours. Imagine having a first class bed and you sleep on the jacks the whole way over. And I don't know if you've ever tried to wipe your arse after 8 hours, but it's crusty. It's not easy. Yeah, have you got those baby wipes on your brain?
Sandpaper, lasagna arse.
The air hostess was afraid to let herself in. She didn't know what she was going to find. So Ronan had to come and get me out of the toilet.
I love what you're doing. Belfast. See with Belfast shows, right? You always get bands talk about the Belfast fans are incredible and that kind of thing. Is that like a real thing?
It
is
is
that like a legitimate
100%.
thing?
Because they've got a little wildness about them, you know.
And Dublin is obviously like your home city crowd kind of, but it always felt like for both bands, like Belfast was a second kind of.
Yeah, no,
just
100%.
as much.
Belfast could have even been better than Dublin sometimes.
Right, okay.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're a little bit wilder, aren't they?
Yeah,
I
and in the
found.
UK, the further north you go, like Scotland, like is a lot more leery than England.
is.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe it's the same for comedy. We would say the best crowds, the best UK crowds are like Liverpool, Glasgow, Manchester,
Well, there's
Newcastle.
a reason you got the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where all the comedians just head to because the audiences are great.
Yeah,
But it was, even for the big arenas, it was always the same. Like the working class towns, you know, were always much more. I think people just appreciated the night out, let their hair down. Like, you know, I always remember the London gigs. You know, especially in a boy band, it was always that loud screams and the hysteria. But it was never as much in London.
Yep.
People were a bit like they had to have that attitude. It's like we get to see everything here.
And they're very
You know what I
aware
mean?
of themselves.
Yeah, you're like
Yep.
you're nothing
Yep.
special. Yeah.
That's it. They're very aware of themselves.
Yep.
They won't let their hair down.
Yep.
You get them going. It's a kind of a challenge, and when you succeed, there's a real feeling of achievement when you get the London crowd to go.
I remember, and I don't know if this was an urban myth. I remember talking to a security guy or a guy who worked in BBC, and there was some sort of story about Westlife did a gig in Belfast for Children in Need, needed to be in Dublin Airport by a certain time. This is probably a common occurrence for you guys, so it probably doesn't even stand out. But I remember him saying something like, and the urban myth, the time probably changed, but it was like, he's like, 41 minutes they got them there. You just got a police escort or something. I don't know if you remember this.
That's happened a few times.
There was like a police escort, and like you needed to be at Dublin Airport by a certain time. The time changes. Next time, put it 13 minutes. Belfast to Dublin.
We did a residency in the Odyssey Arena.
Yeah.
I think we did 14 nights in the old Point Depot and 13 nights in the Odyssey. So we did 27 basically nights in Ireland, and most nights we come off stage in Belfast and go straight back to Dublin.
But I remember we came off the King's Hall years ago, and Shane had just got himself a twin cam Corolla with bright purple with roll bars
I remember
in it.
it.
And we'd come off stage, and our wardrobe people would literally drag the clothes off you because you do 4 or 5 clothes changes within the show.
Yep.
And your encore outfit would be soaking because by the time you put that on, you're sweating.
Yep.
And we were doing a runner, what's called a runner. So you get out of the car park before the patrons get into their cars and leave, so that you're on the road early.
Yep.
So Shane's going, right, Duster, straight off into our jocks, into the car, and we're gone. And we grew up in the same area together in Dublin. So the two of us literally were in the car in our boxers, no tops on, harness seatbelts.
If you passed that, you'd probably think you were having hallucinations. You were like, nah, it wasn't there.
But the IUC pulled us over and came down to see me and Shane bare-chested in a car. We just played the King's Hall Guard, you know what I mean? Sure, it's the lads, obvious. Go, don't worry.
Like, I remember that joke about your man comes out with the pub, and he comes back and it rings the wife, and the wife's looking, she's doing the iron, looking at the TV, and the news is on, and it's going, there's some fella basically driving up the wrong side of the motorway. And she rings the husband and says, are you on your way back in the hub? He goes, yeah. She goes, be careful there, there's some fella driving up the wrong side of the motorway. One fella, there are fucking loads of them, he says.
The Ulster Hall is one of the best venues.
It's beautiful. We were there the other day. We had a little look inside. It looks amazing. It's
great.
Yeah.
Steeped in history of performers before you. That's what's great about the
you're
venues.
right.
There you go.
Led Zeppelin did Stairway to Heaven for the first time there.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of the venues we play in the UK, you know, you don't know their history, and then till you go backstage,
Yeah,
and you see
yeah,
the
yeah,
posters
yeah.
on the back walls and the side walls of the people that have been there before you, and maybe engravings in the wall in the dressing room, and when you figure out who it is, you're kind of going, oh my god.
Yeah,
You know?
the Olympia is like that for me. Like, I started doing the Olympia last few years, and the posters they have
Yeah, it's class.
of who's been there.
The Olympia is such a stunning
crazy.
building. Like, you go up Dame Street, you've no concept that there's this
No.
beautiful concert hall or theatre in
Yeah.
behind the walls
and they're
there.
so close to you. Like, even when it's packed,
Yeah.
the people furthest away feel like you could reach out
Yeah,
and touch
yeah.
them. It's
Have you ever
amazing.
played the Everyman in Cork?
Yeah.
It's the exact same theatre.
Did it for the first time a couple of weeks ago.
I think
Yeah.
it's the same architect. Brian, is it the same architect?
Maybe
Yeah,
just a smaller version.
smaller version. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It was great. When you mentioned, I'll let you go in a sec, but when you mentioned doing, like, what did you call it when you leave before the crowd?
A runner.
We went to see Van Morrison do a very small show in the Limelight in Belfast, and it was brilliant. He was doing Gloria at the end, and he was sort of he finished up, and he sort of didn't say he was finishing, but he played for ages, and he was sort of like introducing his band. You know, he was sort of like, you know, you do a solo, you do a solo. So Van Morrison steps back to let them do like their own kind of solos and stuff, and I was like, fuck, that's nice of him to do that. And he steps back, he's obviously having a drink of water, and he come out for one last song. So, you know, you go to the guitar player, plays for like a riff for like a minute, goes over to the drummer, does a wee thing. He was
Gone.
My mate was like, he would have been at his house by the time we were leaving. 'Cause he lives say he lives a 13-minute drive
That's clever.
away.
That's
So we
clever.
call, when stand up now, we call it doing a Van Morrison. I'll
It's a
say,
van, yeah.
sometimes you got to say to the boys, like, it's a Van Morrison tonight.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just it's a quick.
If Van Morrison's a comedian, though, he'd probably leave in the middle of a joke.
Yeah,
Before the punchline, he'd be like, and I'll tell you the rest later. See you, bye.
Just talking about putting out new music, the process of that, of like the fact that it's you two guys, and it's not a group, and you have all the experience of having made music before, is it way more like laid back when you're making a track? Is it totally different to the way you would have made tracks before?
It's completely different in general, because the music industry has completely changed. You know, the old days of you would make an album, then you'd bring out a single, and that would go on radio, and then it would go out and it would chart, and that's all gone. You know, like right now we're in the middle of making an album, but we don't even really need to make an album. We can just keep releasing the songs, because it's literally just streamed now. So people just listen to the songs they want to listen. Nobody's going out and buying CDs anymore. So the whole kind of format of releasing music has completely changed, which kind of then changes it for us as songwriters too, because you're not really going in going, right, well, we have, you know, the old days, like writing a movie, you'd kind of have arcs and different movements on an album. Now you don't have to do that. You don't have to sit there and go, oh, we've no ballad, or we've no up-tempo. You just write songs now, and every song is its own individual project now. So we'll write a song, go, yeah, we love that, we'll put that out, make a video for it. And then we could write something a couple of weeks later and go, right, that's next, we'll put that out next. So there's no bigger picture with music anymore. Everything is kind of in the moment.
I think you can tell how much you enjoy, because, like you say, you don't need to be releasing music. You've got the back catalogue that you could do.
Well, and that's kind of the other thing that, you know, I think for a while there when we were writing, we kind of said to each other, this is bloody hard, because we would have to write something seriously amazing to take one of the number one songs out of our set list. You know, these songs that have been around for 30 years. So we've kind of just figured it out now. We just kind of look, we'll constantly write songs, and then every tour we'll maybe do 2 of the new songs and just stick with the old ones. And if we write something better now than our own stuff, the original Boyzlife stuff, we'll swap it in and out. But, you know, we know as music fans ourselves, when you go and see a band, you want to hear the hits. You don't want to hear the album tracks. You don't want to hear the songs that they like singing. You want to hear the bloody hits. So we always make sure that we sing the songs that the people coming to the show are going to want to hear, whether we want to sing it or not. There's songs we sing we fucking hate singing.
Right.
You know, songs like Mandy and stuff like that. We hate singing
My
them.
Love.
But we know, absolute turds, but we know that the fans love it. So as much as we hate singing it, we're still going to sing it because they enjoy it.
We don't really sing it anymore, do we? We kind of just
Get
sing
them
the
to it.
first line. We go,
You sing! You sing!
and then we go and have a vodka and can't wait for them to finish the song.
You keep singing, keep going.
You guys do a runner your way back to Dublin.
Do the Van Morrison on it. We're gone.
Yeah, I love it. The gig in Belfast, 19th of
15th.
15th of January.
First night of the World Tour. 15th of January.
15th of Jan in
Well, it's
Ulster
kicking off
Hall.
in Belfast.
The whole tour starts in Belfast, first show.
Going to be crazy when we sing Love Me For A Reason.
Yeah.
You say.
Are you coming on stage with us?
To sing that, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We'll get you in, no problem.
Maybe we'll do that
We'll have to
last.
teach you the dance routine though as well.
You won't.
Maybe
That's a
we'll-
crazy thing.
Oh, really?
We should probably do that last, and we'll do a Van Morrison while he's singing. He'll look around, we'll be gone. Cheers,
Yeah,
mate.
you'll have the best backup band, but we'll be gone.
You and the crowd have gone. And it's just me.
We'll leave a mirror on stage for you.
That's all I need.
There you go.
Lads, thank you very, very much.
No, thanks for having us. We've
coming
enjoyed
down.
it.
We'll put a link in the description below for tickets for the show for Ulster Hall, but they won't hang about long, those tickets.
There's only a few left.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Or a few sold, which is one of the, there's a few.
Stay on the positives, man. Stay on the positives.
Hey.
There's a few left.
Get Milan out. Milan's gone from our
Milan's
heads.
gone from everybody.
Fucking loads left in Milan.
Forget Milan. Lads, thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you,
Cheers.
boys.
Let's get ready for tea with me.